Shanti. Most people don't practice yoga, even though we think of quite a lot of people practicing it. The majority of people are not practicing yoga at all, and they're functioning in a large karmic tank of humanoids that are drunk on past experiences, not knowing what's going to happen next, becoming blind and toothless. I can hear my guru whisper. Remember, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Karma, my Param Guru says, incarnates. We don't. We being the self-existent one. Karma is the conscious desires that have become unconscious, therefore uncontrollable. It's like in Hatha Yoga, the back leg is the intelligence of the asana, and it symbolizes the unconscious. And so, we want to be careful of that back leg that we've got, going on. What's going on back there in Virabhadrasana 1 with that back leg? Ground the femur bone. Get the heel down. Make the connection to the earth. So you lengthen the belly, so you lengthen the spine. Karma is the conscious desires that have become unconscious and thus uncontrollable. The self-existent part of our being is so balanced and aware that if we ever got to the threshold of the causational realm at all, and therefore have the ability to stop the wheel of karma from turning, we would think that there was nothing, no need to change anything at all. Everything is as it should be. If it was supposed to be any different, it would be. The story goes that a guru had developed a cancerous growth on his leg, and it got worse and worse and worse, and over the years he was still going into samadhi. The frustrated disciples who were tending his physical body would say, when he came out of samadhi, "Master, why don't you cure yourself of this cancer, when you're in deep meditation?" The guru, after a lot of insistence, said that he would next time, but next time came, and he came back and nothing had changed. He just came out of samadhi. After lots more pleading from the disciples, and after hearing their heartfelt chanting as he was just about to leave samadhi, he, because of their loving concern for him, and as a gift to them, he dissolved the cancerous growth. He didn't consider the physical body was who and what he really was, just a vehicle that housed the experience of life. But the disciples were quite smart, really. They knew that his body had to be healthy, or he would just slip out of it sooner rather than later, as the growth took his life. A subtle form of karma is known as motive karma. What is the intention behind what we think, say, and do? And that's very important. We might not always know what the outcome's going to be, of course. In fact, very rarely do, but it's the motive that's behind it, the intention that's behind it, that's very important. Sakama, sa is with, sakama karma is one with desire, and nishkama karma is actions performed with no desire. Harmonious or inharmonious karma can result from karma with desire, that's sakama karma. What is wise to desire? And will it help us unfold our primordial wings of wisdom? The external environment is a trigger. If we're in the kitchen, we can cook and nourish our body. If we're in a prison, we just got to have what they dish up. We have no control. Heck, we have no control over the crazy people behind the scenes in a restaurant. Funnily enough, I read somewhere the other day that many convicts, a huge proportion of convicts, actually have a background in commercial kitchens. So something to remember when you go out for your meal in a restaurant. The external environment could also be another person, an animal, or a force of nature. The story goes that the plants went to see God because they were dismayed at the way they were being treated. And God then enabled the plants to consume the humans. What do we see today as we interfere with Mother Nature by introducing GMO foods? I remember when that first came into play. I was living in England at the time, and there was absolute uproar. I think people were actually literally in the streets protesting when they were talking about it. Monsanto were talking about, to the government, of course. There's always greed and power involved. And the people just went absolutely crazy, and there was no way that they allowed the GMO products to come into the country. They're there now, but they have to be very carefully monitored and labelled, everything that we buy. Here, of course, whatever happened, it slipped under the doormat of Ronald Reagan, and before you knew it, you had GMO products on the shelf, and now we're in a huge mess trying to figure out what's what. It's difficult. In 1989, dozens of Americans died and thousands became affected as GMO food supplement was released onto the market without being tested, no safety tests. In 1996, Brazil nut genes were spliced onto soybeans to add extra protein by one company. Where the hell did they think of that one? 25% of Americans have mild adverse reactions to foods. And kids, anyone who's got kids now, know that they're developing more and more allergies, food-related allergies. The big corporations like Monsanto, don't know if I'm supposed to say that, we're a free country, aren't we? Yeah. The big corporations like Monsanto should perhaps be up in court for crimes against humanity and nature. Whose bright idea was it to put fish genes in tomatoes? Do scientists do it for a dare, or a laugh, or just because they can? Earlier this year, 30 people died due to an outbreak of salmonella in cantaloupes. Tyson, one of the big meat giants, recalled 131,000 tons of beef with possible E. coli. You can email me if you can kind of figure out how many cows you think that might be. The law of karma is one of cause and effect. It enables the soul to be the judge of their own actions. There's no angry God waiting to punish us when we die, when the body dies. Karma that is harmonious stems from observing non-violence, non-lying, non-stealing, non-misuse of energy, non-greed, along with cultivating purity, contentment, self-discipline, self-study, and attunement to indwelling reality. Those of you know, yamas, niyamas. We can lie to others, but we should not lie to ourselves. Who is there to fool when God is within us? God, who is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. Om. Om. Lack of action, or not doing what could be done to help ourselves and another soul, is rooted in the kleshas. So it's not always what we do that increases the karma, but what we fail to do. And what I failed to do was to have a glass of water before I sat down to do this. I was going to make myself a cup of tea before Tom came, and it went off the radar as I was doing other things. So yeah, it's what I failed to do that got to me. A little bit of a vata moment. Sorry about that. When we're established in meditation, the heightened pranic energy motivates the inner self, not the ego personality that's functioning through the breathing mechanism. Remember we said the breathing mechanism is what fires the karma. How we breathe is how we think. And Taryn came home from school actually a couple of days ago, and he said there was a turtle that died in India recently, and it was, I think it was 250 years old or something crazy. They ate it and savoured every morsel apparently, but yeah, very old, and they have a very slow breathing rate. I think as we're looking at how the kleshas are manifesting in our lives and trying to minimize them, it really is a good idea to think about the karmic implications of our actions in parallel, sort of, think about that at the same time. Are we acting, our actions stemming from a place of, rajas or tamas or sattva? Is it, passion, activity, anger? Is there a lot of fire in there? Is it fairly lethargic, dull, selfish? Is it fairly balanced and selfless? Good questions to ask ourselves as we're looking at eradicating these kleshas from our life and promoting samadhi. Remember 5 and 1. The gunas, it tells us in the Gita, are born of matter and bind the immortal dweller of the body fast into their body. Trying to do good is better than doing nothing at all, because you feel that you may fail. And that's something to remember as well. Put that into your food sheath. Namaste.